Hey out there. Well, someone told me about that I should actually mention where it's taken and what time and so on. Well, this is my own pictures, and this is from Oklahoma. And as you see, the sun is enormous, and as you see, we are blanketed by chemtrails, and they are, of course, adding to the problem. You can see it there, almost an X marks the spot. And I got a couple of those showing. But what I also have is I went through all the webcams in Mexico yesterday and recorded sunsets and sunrises, and I see the exact same pattern at all times. And that is this explosion of light just before the sun comes up, and then it comes up, and then it turns into this size, and in some of the footage you can actually see the black dot, and that is where the light is the brightest, meaning that is where the sun disk is. But what is all the other stuff around it? Well, that is the particulates in the sky, which I've been talking about for a while, and that is they are scattering the light. And it kind of works like, incandescent light bulb, the Edison lamp, where you can look through it and see the electrode glowing. And then they came up with the incandescent light bulb, which have this layer of powder of salts on the inside, and that scatters the light and spread it out even further and gives you a better light to work in. They are in fluorescent tubes too. So I believe that is what they're doing. And by doing that, they are, of course, if we have an object, which I believe we do, many of you don't, that's your problem. But if you really want to look into some data which not belongs to, because he don't have any data, and that is Marshall Masters. He has his so-called sources, and he's talking to so-called spirits and whatnot. But we got another guy on YouTube which has a very high education, and he's very good at math. He is very literate in the Bible, and his name is Bill Grossard, and he's got a channel called Planet7X. He also got a channel, or not a channel, but a web page called Planet7X.net. And if you go there, you will see how he has measured and made complete timelines of this so-called PlanetX arrival and exit. And it's pretty astounding data he is coming with, and it's data that is provable. It's not just hearsay. He don't have any hearsay. He's really getting down to the nitty-gritty to prove that there is such an object out there. And it has, in all the times that, we've been around. So let me just go over there and just take a look at it. As an example, Halley's comet, right? This is Edmund Halley, which the comet is named after. And I did a calculation from 1054, when the Chinese observed a star in the sky, which were called a supernova in a recent report, but they made a, what do you want to call it? They did another scrutiny on it, because the Chinese was telling us that this star, guest star they called it, was moving through constellations, and a supernova don't do that. It's stationary. It sits right there because the star blew up there. Or did it? I don't know what's going on. But then I did this calculation regarding Halley comet, and in that time that he was around, from 1656 to 1742, in that period, the comet Halley, which is named after him, appeared on the sky because he saw it. But in that period of time where he was alive, this Planet X was not shown. So that exclude the possibility that this object, Planet 7X, is actually this comet that he saw. It cannot be. It's impossible. So here I have another rendition, and this is from 1456. And as you can see here, they are depicting there is two stars in the sky, comets, right? One could be Halley's Comet, but that's before his birth, so it don't have his name on it yet. But you can see on the image here, this is from Germany, how they're describing people were starving, drought, no food, buildings broken up, stuff raining from the sky that looks like blood. Well, we have that in Revelation, you know. So there's definitely something out there that is wreaking havoc. So just to go back to where we were, and here again we have chemtrails. This is this is also Oklahoma. This is actually US 75. And here again I got another image, and as you can see, the sun is humongous, and it's not supposed to look like that, but it is. And here another again. It's just astounding. But on the Mexico webcams, and I'm not gonna describe too many of them, but I am anyway, some of them. But as you see, just memorize what you're seeing in the sky, the colors, the cloud patterns, how it looks. It's just to see there the sun almost look as it's supposed to do, tiny, right? And yet not. Even there the sun looks enlarged. So that's just some of the images. So let's go over to the webcams. Okay, this is Acapulco. I don't even know if I spelled it correctly. But look at that, the sun is huge, right? You see the same type of cloud cover, which actually makes the sun look like it's enormous, and you see this explosion of light. And then the moon is following. And I'm running all the sequences 2 times just to illustrate to you what we're looking at. And this is something that I have noticed on all the webcams that I sat down yesterday and recorded, is showing this explosion of light, this and blotted out images. And these white screens you see here and there is in particular just around where the sun is setting or rising. So it seems like there's some imagery that does not need to be, and another thing need to be seen. But another thing also notice on these videos, that is, it seems like that the sun is not just going down, but it's like it's going away from you. And that I find very startling. I cannot describe it other than you can see it for yourself. Look at that. It looks like the sun is moving away right there in the end. Whoop. And then the explosion of light, and then dim. And then night. So it was all the webcams that was pointing east or in that direction, or west or in that direction, that I sat down and recorded. It took forever. And it's still Acapulco. And you can see that this is something we see here in America too. You're seeing this enormous light plume where you cannot even distinguish what is the sun, what is the light. You have no idea where it is, other than a trained eye, as I am. I know where the sun is, and that is in the middle, of course, of it. As you see here, the sun is right there, in the middle, and then it sets. poof, and then it's gone. And you can see the sun disappeared from the reflection in the water, and then you saw the light just explode in the background. And I believe the reason for that is that our atmosphere now is so saturated with this chemtrails, which is worldwide phenomena. It's not just here and there. It is everywhere now. It's spreading with the winds. And you can clearly see how that have a light scattering effect. It robs you from the possibility to see that there is actually another object in the sky. And that's why they're doing it. It makes it impossible for you. But it is out there. I guarantee you that. It is out there. And it won't be long before it's around again. And we already now see the effects of it. Actually, I can inform you of that all the rivers on planet Earth are in these days drying up. And that is not a good thing, because most people that has to do with agriculture are dependent on rivers for irrigation. And no water, no crops. What does that lead to? Well, I just showed you the picture from Germany. It leads to starvation. It leads to famine. Drought. That's what we're having. And where is all that water going? Well, it's actually going up in the atmosphere. We have this phenomena now that we have rivers of water floating in our atmosphere. And in some cases, as we have seen in Italy, as we have seen in Europe in general, as we have seen in South America, as we just recently saw in California, we have these dumps of vast amount of water out of nowhere. It just like someone just pulled the plug in the bathtub and just flushing everything out. And that's pretty much what's going on. So the water is disappearing, which is leading, of course, to drought. It leads to famine. It leads to a massive die-off of humanity. And again, you can point to the revelation that Matthew 24, that there will be pestilences, disease, there will be famine. And we are living in those days where these things are taking place. There's no question about it. You can't deny it. Not at all. But you see here on these images, it is the exact same thing all over again and again and again. And in some cases, it looks like the sun is moving away from us and not just going down. And I find that very strange. And here we got Mexico City, of course, and I think we got a sunrise coming. Look at that. Explosion of light, looked like a nuclear detonation. And then the sun comes up, and there's the black dot. That's the sun disk. What is all the stuff around it? Well, that's quite obvious, isn't it? That's all the particulates in the atmosphere that creates this light scattering. Works like an incandescent light bulb. They know what they're doing in order to hide. Absolutely. Well, he also asked me in his comment if I'm talking to other truckers about chemtrails. Nah, not really. Not really. I don't have so much time to do all that stuff. And sometimes I just choose not to. But I did talk to one who is my colleague, and he know about chemtrails, and he have this terminology that chemtrails is to kill us. Pretty simple. That's what his belief is. That is simply just to cull us, get rid of us, slowly but surely. And it is working like that, but I don't think that's the main agenda for the spraying. I think it is to keep the weather in check. Now, listen here, what I'm saying to you now. They have been doing this weather modification for over a decade now, and they're pretty successful in it. Now, we know that the loop current which I told you in 2010, has slowed down to half of its original speed, which were 4.6 meters per second, meaning that will be 13.8 feet per second, which is now down to half of what it should be. And that is leading to a climate change, naturally, meaning that it's going to get colder gradually, because, especially in Europe, because Europe has been benefiting from the loop current for eons now, but not anymore. So they're spraying, they're modifying the weather, and they have to, because they need to keep status quo. In case they not, by public demand, let's just say everybody got out on the street and say stop chemtrailing, and then they stop doing it. The nature, because it is in this straitjacket that the chemtrails is exuding on our weather patterns, will rebound to reset and get back to its normal pattern. And that's going to have some profound negative effects worldwide, especially the Northern Hemisphere, because the vast majority of population is not, they're not, but that population group that will ask questions is on the Northern Hemisphere, where on the Southern Hemisphere they are more or less just, not thinking about those things, because they're living mostly in third world countries. They got other problems to deal with, such as getting food. That's their life. And the Northern Hemisphere, Western world is all about career making money. It's all about being famous. It's all about meism. That's the Western world today. But if they stop chemtrailing, stop controlling the weather, we will have a serious problem weather-wise. And eventually all this stuff is going to fall down on Earth, and then we suddenly can see something on the sky, and, well, that would be two strikes with a fly swatter. Weather is going amok. Life as we know it will pretty much cease, and the world will be thrown into turmoil, chaos. But on the other hand, if that was not the case, which it will be, of course, but let's just play with the thought that people were just taking it nice and easy, and for it's everyday life, we're used to it, blah, blah, blah. Then they will see this object in the sky. Well, you can bet on there will be no one going to work. They will freaking ask the government, what is that? What is that big thing up there? Why haven't we been told about that? And NASA can't come out and say, we don't know about that, because they're freaking monitoring everything that is going on in our space. All of it. So, they can't hide it in the long run. And we are seeing the effects of it. And as you see on the images here, you're seeing the same thing in America, the same repetition of the sunrise, the sunset, how it's being mucked up with chemtrails. So we can't really see the details in the sky around the sun. And as you see, there's a lot of images which is being blocked out. It's simply just not there. And I hold to say that it's not because there's a camera failure. No. These images, when there's a blank screen, white screen showing up, that is an image that they have been told they need to take out because it's too revealing. It's not an error on the camera. I refuse to believe that. They have been told by, the powers that be, or wannabe, pretty much, this world has been hijacked by a group of people, 13 bloodlines, that is running this world into the ground. And we are allowing it, because we are not talking together anymore. And we don't have a media we can trust in any form or fashion, because they are in bed with these demonic entities which I would call them, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and all these bastards out there that is running this world, think they're running this world. They're all criminals. And, well, sooner or later they will be brought to judgment, but it won't be by humanity. I guarantee you that. They're going to fight to the last straw to maintain their power. And one of the ways they can maintain their powers, that is weather modification. And by blocking out the sky so that we cannot see what's going on up there. Because if you just look at the scriptures, just there alone, everything, pretty much all the prophecies in the Bible pertains to events that is not taking place here, but up there. Maybe you should take a listen. It's up there it's happening. And that this war in heaven that has been talked about, it's still ongoing. It's never stopped. They're still fighting up there. For territory, for power. The fallen angels against the good ones. See, blank screen. That's what's going on. And those who's running this world is in league with those who wants to oppress everybody, who wants to take the power. And they pretty much got the power as it is right now, but it won't be forever, and it won't be for long either. There will come a point where this continuity of government would be an impossibility. Absolutely, because there will be no one listening to anybody. It will be, in many cases, survival of the fittest scenario. That's just how I see it. How it's chronologically is going to play out. That I'm a little doubt of, but I do know it's going down, 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 down. And it's going faster and faster and faster down, 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 down. And all we can do is, get in touch with our spiritual values. We can start looking at how do we get through this? How can we help others, not just ourselves, which we need to do first, because if you can't help yourself, you cannot help anybody else. That's just a fact. So see what you can do in order to help yourself and your family. Prepare yourself for what is coming. And again, I don't know the exact order of what is coming, but it is coming. And there's no escape from it. None of us will escape from it. So I'm just gonna, end this little video here. And wish you all a terrific journey and what is coming in the future. And in the end of this video here, when I'm done talking, I'm just going to put some spooky music in and you can watch the rest. And you can see the repetition again and again and again, the same we see every single day. And I'm seeing it up there when I'm driving every single day. There is no exceptions. It's always the same pattern. And I've been looking at that since 2012, since I started driving. And I've been recording since 2012. And I have explained to you what I've been observing. And what I'm observing has not changed since I started driving and recording until today. So that would be 2012. That would be 5 years. I'm seeing the same and the same and the same and the same. So they are doing something that needs to be done in the exact order it is being done, or else something will reveal itself, or one of their modifications of the weather will fail, and it might have some disastrous effects that they, at this point in time, don't want. You see, they are in control and they need to stay in control, so they cannot allow anything to be by chance. It has to be in the order that they want in order for their plan to succeed. And with that, God bless you. Over and out.